to labor markets, and this session will be moderated by Mrs. Ola. And I would like to invite Ms. Ola to lead the discussion with our distinguished speakers, Dr. Melvin Ajabar, Dr. Michio Yunino, and Dr. Antonius Purnomo. Ms. Ola, the floor is yours. Check.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the one-day conference BIMP, EAGA, and Japan Issues and Prospects 2026 at Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. I hope our honorable speakers and all participants had a pleasant and refreshing lunch break. My name is Safinatul Aula, and I will be your moderator for panel session 2 this afternoon. This panel will bring together three insightful presentations that explore economic partnership agreements, labor mobility, and immigrant integration in Japan, particularly from Southeast Asia perspectives. With me, here there are already three amazing speakers that will present in this afternoon panel sessions. Let me introduce our speakers for this afternoon panel sessions. For our first speaker, we have Dr. Melvin Ajabar from the Research Institute for Mindanao Culture, RIMCU. And for the second speaker will be brought by Dr. Michio Yoneno Reyes from the University of Shizuoka. And last but not least, as our third speaker, there is Dr. Antonius Purnomo from Universitas Airlangga. So for our first presentations, it's entitled Gen Z's Views on EPA and Environmentalism Practices, the Case of the Philippines and Indonesians. To discuss this important topic, it is my greatest pleasure to introduce our honorable speaker, Dr. Melvin Ajabar from the RIMCU. The time is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First, apologies. I'm not quite feeling well. I have hiccups, so from time to time you hear something from me which could be annoying. So please bear with me. Okay, so this presentation is based on a survey that we did with Paari and two colleagues from the Philippines and from Thailand. And from the macro perspective earlier, we're going to focus on the micro, and we're interested to look at how do young Indonesians think about economic partnership agreement. But before that, just a show of hands to our undergraduate students and even to master students. Have you heard about the Japan-Indonesia Economic Partnership Agreement? Raise your hand if you've heard of that. The brightest student in the class. Okay, so that's what we're actually going to talk about. Okay, so this is the context. If you're going to examine the documents of both Japan-Indonesia Economic Partnership Agreement and the Philippine-Japan Economic Partnership Agreement, you will see at the onset that both countries recognize that through this partnership, there is economic cooperation, there's trade liberalization, and investment opportunities. That's the facade, and behind it are some issues, and one of which has something to do with environmental sustainability and an even distribution of ecological risks across Southeast Asia. But in the context here, we're talking about Japan and the Philippines. But in our side, we're not interested in knowing the perspectives of politicians. We're interested in knowing what young people think. Where's okay. Young people like you think about the implications of economic partnership on the environment, because we know for a fact that in this kind of relationship, a nation state probably is better than the other. Okay. Sorry. Can you just assist me? Kindly go to the second slide, please. Okay, so that's the premise why we're interested in knowing the point of view of Indonesian and young Filipinos. Next slide, please. So if you're going to compare the documents between Japan and Indonesia and Japan and Philippines, these documents recognize that the countries have to, give importance to environmental protection and sustainable uh, resource use. No, because we understand that in all this economic partnership, sometimes it could affect the environment, especially if it would require utilization of natural resources. And both of the documents affirm adherence to multilateral environmental agreements and promote cooperation. So that's the premise, but there are critiques. And in the Philippine context, they're saying that the partnership has actually violated the Constitution of the Philippines. Next slide, please. Under Article 11, Section 16, it says that the partnership violates the right to health and balanced ecology. And it's also a contradiction to the Basel Convention obligations. And if you're not familiar with this is the convention that talks about transmovement of hazardous waste. And then third, the critics thought that the Philippines is becoming a dumping ground for Japan's toxic waste. Now let's take a look at the critique on the Indonesian side. Environmental NGOs, particularly WALI, an Indonesian Forum for the Environment, says that, like the Philippines, Indonesia is also at risk of becoming a dumping ground for Japanese waste. And it also clashes with Indonesia's commitment to the Basel Convention, and it undermines Indonesia's domestic waste management policies. Next slide. So these are some pictures that I found over the internet. Unfortunately, I did not find the same in the Indonesian side, but there are groups who went to the streets to assert the rights, particularly environmental rights, because they're thinking that behind this agreement, toxic waste like medical waste probably could be brought to the Philippines. Next slide. Here's another picture. Again, I couldn't find, probably because of some linguistic limitations in my part, so I wasn't able to seek the same pictures. So what's the policy response? Unlike the Philippines, there was no direct constitutional challenge in the Indonesian side. But in the Philippines, someone filed a case before the Supreme Court. And the government ratified GEPA despite environmental protests. That's in the Indonesian side. But in the Philippine side, the agreement recognized environmental protection in principle, but trade in waste materials was effectively liberalized. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, there was a case filed before the Supreme Court. And Indonesia, some NGOs went, again, complained, but there was no Supreme Court litigation, but both exposed to risk of waste dumping, raising questions about the compatibility of EPA trade provisions with the Basel Convention obligations. Next slide. So it's loaded with text, but I would like you to focus your attention to the second row. And these are the provisions. With the Economic Partnership Agreement, Japan will import waste materials, which I'm going to enumerate later on. Next slide, please. So under the Economic Partnership Agreement, both countries, the Philippines and Indonesia, recognize that waste can be treated as tradable goods. And there's a tariff reduction on waste from Japan to the Philippines and Indonesia, which is explicit in the agreement. Next slide, please. So these are actually the wastes that are approved, and we need to say these are the wastes from Japan to be brought to Indonesia and the Philippines, which would include plastic waste, paper and paperboard waste, rubber waste and scrap, metal scraps. Next slide, please. Glass waste, textile waste, electronic waste, ships and floating structures for dismantling. Next slide. So the question is, which triggered our curiosity to conduct the survey, do young people think that allowing Japan to bring in waste to the country will appear like we are selling our environment because of the repercussions that will arise because of bringing in importation from Japan. Next slide, please. So we did a survey with young people from Indonesia and the Philippines, and this is again triggered by the critics that I've mentioned earlier. And what we want to know is, what do young people think about the issue, even if they're hearing the issue for the first time? Next slide. Now, why the Gen Z population? Gen Zs are actually willing to pay more sustainable products. This is according to the literature. So we are assuming that if you're part of the generation, you are environmentally conscious by practicing uh, sustainable behaviors like buying sustainable products. Gen Z is deeply concerned about the environment. They are being called the eco-conscious generation and also the pragmatic generation. So we're going to look at those characteristics in the context of environmentalism and in the context of the economic partnership agreement. So we did a survey in the Philippines and we had 246 respondents. And we also did a survey in Yogyakarta with 236 respondents. Next slide. This is the gender distribution, and it shows that there are more female respondents over male respondents. Next slide, please. And in terms of their year level, many of the Indonesian respondents are freshmen, while in the Philippines, many of them are in their second and to the last year of their college degrees. Next slide. For the Indonesian side, almost all are from private university, while in the Philippines, many of them are from state colleges or universities. Next slide, please. So we had a question. We asked them if it is their first time to hear about the economic partnership agreement. And as you can see in the table, a little more than 50% of the students have not heard of the economic partnership agreement. This is true to both the Philippines and Indonesia. And just to give you a context, most of the respondents from Indonesia have some knowledge about international relations. While in the Philippines, many of them are taking criminology, hotel and restaurant management, which would I expect that they shouldn't know about it, or they are less likely knowledgeable about the partnership agreement. And we also asked them if they think allowing imports of waste materials are mostly bad, mostly good, neutral, meaning it's okay, so long as it's going to be managed well, and then if they are not sure about the issue. And if you can see there, many of other respondents chose neutral, which means that, oh, it's okay, we can take in waste from Japan so long as it's going to be managed well. And then of course, a sizable number of respondents said it's also mostly good because while it's a waste, but when they come to Philippines and Indonesia, you can actually recycle those materials for other uses. Next slide, please. Now, we also asked them the question, do you agree or disagree with the statement by importing waste materials, the Philippines or Indonesia, our country, my country, is selling our environment for economic gain? In the case of Indonesia, 5 in 10 says that, yeah, it's like we're selling our environment. For the Philippine case, it's 6 in 10. Next slide, please. Now, if there's a trade-off, what will you consider? Is it economic gain, or are you going to take care of the environment? And 64% of the respondents, both for Indonesian and Filipino case, responded by saying that it should be a balance between economic gains and environmental preservation. And this resonates again to the previous result, that it's okay so long as it's managed properly. And 21% said that, well, it creates job and it improves the economy of the country. Now, the salient difference has something to do with the idea of protecting the environment. For the respondents for the Philippines, 32% said that we must consider environmental protection more than economic gains. Next slide, please. So now that they know about the economic partnership agreement, we ask them, do you still think that it's okay to continue the partnership? And in the Philippines, 132 students, yes, we can continue. And in the case of Indonesia, 125 students said, oh, yes, but if you're going to compare, again, there's no really solid difference between those who said yes or those who said no. And again, it shows ambivalence. Next slide, please. And then we asked the respondents to answer a Likert-like statement from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. We asked them about their level of environmental consciousness. Thank you. And if you notice there, in the case of the Philippines, many of the students think that they have high or very high level of environmental consciousness. While in Indonesia, it's from moderate to high. The reason why we ask this question, because we want to compare later, or we want to establish a correlation between environmental consciousness and their willingness or not willingness to continue with the agreement. Next slide. So we did two analyses, statistical analysis. The first one is to look at the response regarding the question whether or not they want to continue the agreement at their level of environmental consciousness. We assume that if you have higher level of environmental consciousness, most likely you're going to answer no because of the environmental ramifications of the agreement. The second analysis, we look at the same variable, whether they want to continue or not with the agreement, if they can decide. And then the other variables have something to do with environmental practices to promote sustainability. And all the statistics show that there is no significant correlation and significant difference when you look at environmental consciousness and whether or not they want to pursue the agreement. So moving on to the discussion, what do this number tell us? So many of the young respondents are not aware or are not sure if they have heard of the economic partnership agreement, both in the two countries. And they think that importation of wastes are mostly good, but it's only good when it's managed properly. 50 to 60% think that importation of waste product is synonymous with selling the environment for economic gains. But again, there must be a balance between economic gains and environmental protection. So the results are telling that environmental consciousness does not dictate whether or to continue or not to continue the agreement. The economic gains brought by it is more crucial for the young respondents, provided that environmental protection is also given a priority. So this again resonates the characterization of Gen Z who are environmentally conscious, but at the same time are pragmatic. So the fact that many Gen Z respondents were initially unaware of the agreement, but still formed strong views once informed, suggests that environmental values operate independently of prior policy knowledge. And the respondents, based on the results, do not reject the agreement and the importation of waste, but they frame it as conditionally acceptable, dependent on governance quality and regulatory capacity, as based on the result earlier that it's okay, so long as this is being managed properly. And we call this, in environmental parlance, as pragmatic environmentalism. Too much of environmentalism can be probably a problem when we don't earn. So it should be a balance of both. And environmental concern among youth is value-driven, not entirely information-dependent. And once policy implications are revealed, in this example, waste trade, respondents are capable of rapid normative evaluation. So they have the idea, they can distinguish the idea between circular economy logic and environmental dumping. So this is my last slide. So what the results are telling us is that Environmental consciousness does not determine whether respondents support the continuation of the EPA or otherwise. And Generation Z does not see environmental protection and economic integration as mutually exclusive. Instead, they operate within a conditional legitimacy framework. And despite the differences in constitutional frameworks between Philippines and Indonesia, the respondents show strikingly similar attitudes. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for Dr. Melvin Ajabar for such a thought-provoking presentations. Before we move on, allow me to highlight three key points from his presentations. There is a contradictions between how the high awareness of environmental consciousness and EPAs among Gen Zs and the Philippines, and then young people also recognize economic benefits of EPAs but remain cautious about environmental risk, especially waste importation, highlighting the good management that can be provided. Here, it shows how there is a conditional legitimacy framework that works here. And lastly, there is a strong demand from Gen Z for policies that balance economic development with environmental sustainability. Once again, please give a round of applause for Dr. Melvin Najabar. Okay. Now moving on to our next presentations will be about institution-based perspectives. While we already heard about Gen Z's views, now we will explore more on the state-led effort in shaping Japan's broader migration policies in the healthcare sectors. Our next speaker is Dr. Michio Yoneno Reyes, will present her research titled GPEPA as a Trailblazer in the Japanese Care Labor Market and Beyond. Without further ado, Dr. Michio Yoneno Reyes, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It is my great pleasure and honor to be here to share my research findings. I'd like to take this opportunity to express my deep gratitude to Dr. Are Kusuma Paksi, Dr. Melvin Harbour, all the organizers of this conference, and the faculty members and the staff of Muhammadiyah University, Yogyakarta, and the Japan Foundation, even the representative from the Japanese embassy. On a personal note, I'm a cultural anthropologist and ethnomusicologist. So today I present my paper on migration studies from a cultural anthropological perspective, but my other face is an ethnomusicologist. All ethnomusicologists of my generation received basic training in the field with Indonesian gamelan music. So I recall having taken lessons in bonang and sarong, the basic instrument of gamelan in my BA and master's courses. It is exciting to visit this old capital of Indonesia, where the tradition of court music has been transmitted. And today I'm talking about the EPA. Yes, it is about the economic agreement between the two countries, but there is one clause in the JEPA, JAPEPA, and the JIVEPA, the one with Vietnam, about the movement of natural persons, the migration. I mean, practically, it's about the movement of people. And these three EPAs do have an element of the care workers movement from these countries to Japan. So this is what I'm talking about today. Today's presentation is it's based on the forthcoming articles, which I reframed for this presentation in terms of Bimp Eaga. So the background, yes, the Japan, for obvious reasons, Japan is the advanced country, not anymore in economics and technology, but in aging and elderly care concepts and skills. So Japan's acceptance of foreign care workers began with the Economic Partnership Agreement program in 2008 with Indonesia. And the EPA's scheme, however, had been largely shaped by the Philippine laws that had been in place to protect migrant workers' rights and welfare as early as the 2000s. So these are the relevant laws from the Philippines in terms of the protection of migrant workers. Okay, so this government-to-government G2G program became a pioneering model, opening Japan's healthcare sector to Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam, with a state-funded system of language education and on-the-job training. The principle behind this scheme is that one, workers do not need to shoulder the cost for matching, training, and transportation, but employers should. Okay, I forgot to forward the, okay. How? I think I should, I should. Okay, the next. Okay. Under the two, care work is skilled work. Thank you. So the EPA eventually prompted the creation of additional pathways, a care worker category under the Technical Intern Training Program, TITP, and a nursing care category and under the Specified Skilled Workers, SSW scheme for more diverse nations. So now, other than the Philippines, Indonesia, and Vietnam, the other nationals can also apply to these gates, operated primarily by the private sector. Okay, so these pathways coexist with the EPA to meet Japan's growing care worker shortages. The next, please. So as of 2024, presumably more than 50,000 foreign care workers worked in Japan across all programs. Okay, here is, okay. Okay, okay. No, I think I'll just skip this. Yes, I just want to show that the Indonesian care workers are on the rise remarkably, together with together with the Nepalis. Okay, so as of today, early 2026, a new program, the Employment for Skill Development, ESD, a scheme to replace TITP is being prepared. The basic framework of the ESD is likely to carry the EPA model and the Philippine model that workers do not need to shoulder the cost for matching, training, transportation, and changing employer, but employers should. Okay, so the ultimate question here is who should shoulder the cost for hiring foreign care workers? The next, yes. So this question can be translated as whose problem is elderly care? And we are now reminded of Chizuko Ueno's famous article, The Declining Birth Rate, Whose Problem, in 1998. In this article, she argues that if it is a state that suffers from a low birth rate, and it is the state that should shoulder the cost. And she introduces the concept of this tax for singles. And this is gradually only today translated into actual policy. Next. Okay, the previous one, I don't know the text. The next one. Okay, so this presentation argues that if it is the state that suffers from the shortage of care workers in Japan today, it is the state that must shoulder the cost, not employers. Okay, and despite early challenges and criticisms, this EPS system of care workers has been exposed to harsh criticisms, actually. But when the private sectors came in, that became even worse. So still the EPA, the G2G is still better. Okay, so the EPA's comprehensive state-supported training has provided the most robust model aided by the Philippine laws, highlighting that successful integration of foreign care workers ultimately required substantial government subsidy in Japanese language training and skill development, even as private initiatives expanded. So the burden on employers need to be reduced. Okay. Okay. Then what are the implications on the Bimp Eaga framework? So here comes our topic today. So we are now looking at the implication for Bimp Eaga from the perspective of the geographical and the cultural proximity. Under the EPA, migrants are selected, trained, placed, and evaluated through bilateral state mechanisms. So this significantly reduced the pressure to the exposure to predatory recruiters. And the skill formation here is not only technical, but institutional. Migrants learn to work within tightly regulated care systems. Japan thus functions less as a labor extractor, but more as a skill formation hub with ethical governance features. So this diagram summarizes my argument. Indonesia and the Philippines workers enter Japan through a government-to-government training scheme. This is the gray arrows and enhanced by the private sector's participation today. The Japan functions as a site of skill formation rather than a terminal destination. These red arrows and the Brunei, with the emerging aging and the limited training capacity, can absorb these skills without building a full training infrastructure, but as it accepts skilled workers from Indonesia and the Philippines. This dotted line in red. And also from Indonesia, by the way, they go to other places, Middle East and Anglophone countries as care workers, partly carrying what they have learned in Japan. Malaysia, by contrast, follows a different circuit, highlighting the selectivity of migration circuit. So Malaysia missing link. The absence in this picture is analytically important. Malaysia can workers have access to English speaking countries and or the Middle East countries with lower entry cost. Recruitment is often direct without heavy blockage. This makes Japan's tightly regulated language intensive EPA route comparatively unattractive. The non-participation therefore reflects a rational choice for Malaysians, not lack of mobility. Building on this insight, I suggest that the EPA's effects extend beyond Japan by enabling regional scale circulation. Care migration should be understood not simply as the movement of workers, but as the circulation of skills shaped by state regimes and migration strategies. If the world benefit directly or indirectly from Japan's advanced knowledge and skills in elderly care, to some extent also in terms of technology, the regional framework such as Bimp Eaga could potentially promote a mechanism of sharing the benefits through circular migration and skill transfer. This could be more effective than the ASEAN framework, where multiple stakeholders play multiple roles in various directions, or to simply put it, sorry to say, but Singapore might just absorb everything from the other members. So that the BIMPIAGA should be more functional, I guess. So conclusion, the EPA is not merely a labor import scheme, but a state-mediated mechanism that transforms Japan into a regional hub of care skill formation, enabling ethical and circulatory migration beyond the national borders. The BIMP IAGA framework would benefit the member nations as they anticipate aging in the very near future. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Dr. Michio Yoneno Reyes for sharing such valuable insights into the evolutions of Japan's care labor market. Now, before moving on, let me briefly highlight some key takeaways from these sessions. It is known that GPEPA serve as a foundational and state-supported model for foreign care worker integrations in Japan, and government involvement in language education and training remain crucial for successful integrations. And lastly, while private labor schemes have expanded, the EPA model remains the most comprehensive and protective framework. It is needed greatly of the state involvement to help shoulder the employer's burden. Okay, moving on. For our third speaker, last but certainly not least speaker for this panel, our final presentation is entitled Bridging Cultures and Building Integration, the Problems of Indonesian Migrant Workers in Japan, highlighting the perspective and experiences from the actors that are involved under the economic cooperation schemes. To discuss this interesting topic, please welcome Dr. Antonius Purnomo from Universitas Airlangga. The time is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Antonius Pujapurnomo. I am teaching about Japanese studies at University of Airlangga, Surabaya. Before I start my presentation, let me read pantun. Yeah, this is Malaysian and Indonesian pantun. Melati kuntum tumbuh melata, sayang merbah di pohon cemara. Assalamualaikum mulanya kata, saya sembah pembuka bicara. Yeah. Thank you. First, let me say thank you to University of Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta who invite me to come this conference, and the second to Japan Foundation, yeah, and Japanese government for the continuous support for our program, especially for the Japanese studies program in Indonesia. I also ex Mombusho scholar. Yeah, I got a lot of scholarship from Japanese government when I study in Japan. So I encourage the student here to get scholarship too and to study in Japan. And as you know, it's not good to say that Japan and China is still in conflict, yeah. But as you know, about 50% of tourists from China not come to Japan anymore. This is opportunity for us, yeah. I think you have a lot of money, yeah, so you can go to Japan and enjoy Japan. It's very beautiful country, and you can see and feel very amazing culture there. Yeah, please come to Japan. Yeah, come to Japan. This is not only promote about Japan, only promote Japan, but I want to promote about mutual understanding and world peace. Yeah, world peace. Okay. Today I want to speak about the bridging culture and building integration, the problems of Indonesian migrant workers in Japan. It's a little bit different with another speakers, but I just want to let you know about the problems, yeah, on the Indonesian migrant workers in Japan. This is some news about about Indonesian migrant worker. Yeah, maybe you already know, yeah, about some news. For example, the left one, yeah, the left one. A robbery, yeah, from Indonesian and robbery in Japan, yeah, and then in the right one, some migrant workers from Indonesia, they train about martial arts. It's okay, but yeah, they don't know about the place. You know that in the road, yeah. It's afford people to cross the street. It's not a good thing, I think. Yeah. If you go to somewhere, another country, you have to obey the rules there. It's not good thing. Yeah. So I have a patsu here. Yeah. It's not good thing. Yeah. And then second one. Maybe you still remember about this is about maybe 10 years ago. I don't know, 10 years ago maybe. Indonesian climbers, yeah, I think it's migrant workers too, climb to Mount Fuji, Fujisan, and make rakugaki, make yeah, vandalism, yeah. As you know, Fujisan, Mount Fuji, is a World Heritage. Yeah, World Heritage. What do you feel if someone else, yeah, another people, another country's people come to Borobudur and then make vandalism there? Yeah, Japanese and Indonesian, yeah, uh, it's the same human being. They will angry to us. Yeah, they will angry to us. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe and the Japanese government already deported who make vandalism here. That's not good. Yeah, not good sample. But the last one, it's a good sample. Yeah. Indonesian community, worker communities in Chiba might be here, make something good thing. Yeah, they put on the garbage trash yeah, near the beach, yeah, with the local community. It's good thing. Make a good thing every day, yeah, because we are in another country, so don't do something violates the rules, yeah. This is only an example, yeah. And then this one, the recently phenomenon, yeah, phenomena in Japan right now, yeah. As you know, Sanseito is one new political party in Japan, got 14 seats in the higher parliament. Yeah, 14 seats from 248 seats in the higher parliament. Yeah, it's about 4% or 6% from the higher parliaments. Yeah, seats. Yeah, it seems small amounts of seed, but this is only the first uh, party, but already got 14 seats. It's amazing, amazing, yeah, amazing. But the very sad to say, but the issue of this party is anti-immigrant. Yeah, maybe you still remember Trump, American President Trump, yeah, American first, yeah, yeah. This also Sanseto, this party also use slogan like Japanese first, yeah. It's very afraid for us, yeah, very afraid for us for foreigner worker in Japan. If we do something bad there, the Japanese people will hate us, yeah. So please be careful, yeah. Be careful when you go to Japan or another country. We have obey and the rule there, yeah. But in other side, yeah, even this sentiment, anti-immigrant sentiment, rise in Japan. Japan also have another problem, yeah. There is a social problem about the lack of worker inside Japan. That's the problem. So they have to import, yeah, import worker from foreign countries. This is the problem. Yeah, this is some phenomena, yeah, about immigrant workers in Japan. So I will go to the main problem here. The main topic is integration. Yeah, integration plays an important role in the process of acceptance and unification of individual in the social space. In Gordon's theory of cultural assimilation is a dimension related to changing cultural patterns to conform to the majority group. Yeah, we also have Kuncharaningrat is a philosopher in Indonesia, say about assimilation. What the condition of assimilation? Assimilation, there are group of people with different cultures, and then assimilation condition is individual as member of the group get along directly and intensively with each other for a relatively long time. Another condition, the culture of this human group is each change and adapt to each other. That's the condition of assimilation. Ya, as Indonesian people has the proverb, di mana bumi dipijak, di situ langit dijunjung. When the feet touch the ground, there the sky held up. This is Indonesian proverb. Also, yeah, in Japan, Japan also have the proverb like this. Goni itewa, goni stagai. Yeah, which means that when entering the village, follow the village custom, like do like the Roman do, yeah, in English, yeah. So we already have this traditional proverb, this philosophy in Indonesia. So it's no nonsense if our migrant worker, Indonesian migrant worker, go to Japan and violate the rule there, maybe they never learn about this proverb, Indonesian proverb. They forgot about the most important thing that we learn it maybe a primary school, ya, di mana bumi dibijak, di situ langit dijunjung. I learned it during my primary school, maybe, ya. Hmm. This is the background on the philosophy background. Japan and Indonesia also have the similar culture. So nonsense if we don't know about Japanese culture. It's nonsense. Yeah. Why Japan need migrant workers? Yeah. As you know about if you study about Japanese sociology, yeah, as you know, during 1950, yeah, still a lot of young people, workers, yeah, here, and here. But in 2023, yeah, here, the people who have age 59.5 here age, and a lot of people in the age of this. But in 2070, more smaller here. It means that right now, yeah, Japan needs foreign worker to come to Japan, yeah, to work in Japan. And another word to say, to pay tax, yeah, and tax will make something good, yeah, for developing Japan country, yeah. And then this is the workers, yeah, in Japan in 2000. It is increase, yeah, this increase here, but not so much, yeah, in 20. Yeah, this the condition of Japanese worker. And then the next one, this is percentage of foreign worker in Japan. In here, 25% from Vietnam. Yeah, from Vietnam here. And then Filipinos, 11%. And Indonesia, number three here, number three, 9%, only 9%. Yeah, even China, only 18% here. Even China, only 18%. Vietnam, immigrant workers, a lot here. And then how about the foreign workers in Japan workplaces? Yeah, 26% in manufacturing. Yeah, and then 15% in service industry. Yeah, and etc. here. And then let take a look about Indonesian people, where Indonesian worker. I cannot make it big, but in whole of Japan, there is Indonesian workers there. Yeah, but of course, most of them stay in Kanto area, maybe here, Kanto area and Kansai, yeah, Kansai area. And how about the workplace for Indonesian migrant workers? Most of them work as nursing, yeah, nursing like caregiver, something like that. And then the second place is manufacturing, yeah, manufacturing. It's include tokutegino or something like that, agriculture, something like that, yeah. There is no education here, maybe, yeah, very small amount of education, yeah. And then in this study, I just want to make clear what kind of the problem that Indonesian migrant workers faced. Yeah, and then I hope I can make some suggestion, solution about uh, the problem from this. Yeah, this is from my literature research here from the this one representation of work environment of foreign human resource from Indonesia, Watanabe, 2024. Yeah, the main problem is language barrier. Language barrier, the number one. And the second one is cultural difference and social norms. And number three is discrimination. They feel discrimination in Japanese workplace. And another one is residency status and policy uncertainty and access to healthcare with local support. Yeah, yeah. But number one and two, yeah, language barrier and cultural difference is the most problem. And another things, this another literature studies, yeah. Still number one, communication anxiety in the form of language mentality. Yeah, number two, different culture also. Yeah, also from this literary studies says that number one is language, and number two is cultural difference. Yeah, and discrimination and prejudice, something like that. In another study said discrimination in number two and number three. Yeah, this another literary studies. Language is the problem. And here, American College and Organic Institute, namely active. Yeah, this is another researcher about the problem solving. Active, passive, and interactive strategies that can be used to reduce the anxiety and uncertainty of foreign migrant workers in the work environment society in Japan. Yeah, active and passive. First, a commitment to constantly learning new things and actively seeking out the latest information from friends or community organization that you follow. This is one problem solving. And the second one, how to minimize anxiety through passive strategies if observing someone. Yeah. Third, reduce anxiety by using interactive techniques by embracing diversity, actively participating in activities improving communication skill. So the migrant workers uh, itself should active, yeah, to make some activities with the local maybe and find out the new information. How about the LPK? LPK mean Job Training Institute, yeah, provide the training center should provide intensive education for prospective worker both in terms of language and cultural strengthening. Yeah, maybe you already know that some of training center in Indonesia before they send the worker to Japan, some of them, yeah, some of them only 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 get the money from the student and give the like education. It's very sad, yeah, very sad for us. And then not give enough education before leaving Indonesia for Japan. That's the problem. So when they came to Japan, they cannot speak Japanese good, and then they don't understand about Japanese custom and Japanese culture. So it's make um, very hard. They live very hard, yeah, in Japan. And social media can encourage an increased level of intercultural adaptation of people facing different cultural experience in new community. This is some picture or some book, some Japanese language book from website. And how about Japanese companies, yeah, in supporting Indonesian workers to work in a safe, comfortable environment? Companies use a special recruiting system to recruit foreigners with a high level expertise in a particular field. Yeah, not only just come to Japan and work with us like that, not filtering them, but use special recruitment system. Companies are required to conduct health and physical safety checks on their employees, improve living environment and social infrastructure for foreign workers, such as multilingual public service and housing assistance for foreign residents. How about the government? What should government do? Yeah, for example, I think Japanese government also do many things, yeah, about the policy, but yeah, but I don't know the new government, the new prime minister, what kind of policy that will made for the this from this year, but don't worry, in the new prime minister, not from Sanseito, from LDP, yeah, LDP will support the multicultural cooperation with another country. Yeah, so I think anti-immigrant sentiment not so, I mean, not will go smoothly because they only have a 14 seat, yeah, in parliament. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, this is something like a conclusion, yeah, not conclusion, problem solving, yeah. So Indonesian workers not only go there and then work there, but they also have to improve their Japanese language, yeah, and cultural orientation, work ethic, yeah, openness, and willingness to learn, yeah, with the social network with the local. This is problem solving, yeah. And Japanese company also have a good training for them, communication, mentor system, yeah, psychological support, yeah. Also, I have an idea. Maybe this is like for a university teachers like us. Maybe we have a pengabdian masyarakat. What it's called pengabdian masyarakat in English? Community empowerment. Empowerment. Uh, I, University of Muhammadiyah, Yogyakarta have Japanese department, right? You can also invite them and go there and then give mentoring, yeah, to the immigrant workers, yeah, over there, because the Japanese department teachers already know about Japanese culture, how to, yeah, integrate with the Japanese local, yeah. This is wrong, this is good, yeah. We have a chance, ya, to give pendampingan itu Bapak dalam bahasa Inggris. Assistance, ya, assistance itu ya, to the migrant workers. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. So we can make a cooperation with Raya Sensei in Shizuoka University. Sensei make like a pengabdian masyarakat. What is it? Social work together, yeah, service together. Let's go to give assistance to the Indonesian workers with something. We can make it, yeah, together. Oh yeah, Pak Faris, the vice rector. We can make an international that service community, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. And we can ask to Mombusho to give us a support fund, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yes, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of idea, yeah, yeah. But one more, I still have time. Yes, I will read conclusion. Yeah, the roots of the problem problem faced by Indonesian migrants worker consists two sides: inside and outside. Inside is mentality. They have they have no preparation to go to Japan. It's mentality. So we have a system how to make they ready to go to Japan. Yeah, mentality side. And outside is not enough education. Yeah, not enough education or training before leaving for Japan. And what should we do? Yeah, to solve the problem. There is from migrant workers itself. Yeah, they have more active. Yeah, more active to learn Japanese language and culture. More active to integrate with the local. Not only go to Indonesian friends and speak Indonesian language every day. It's not good for improve the Japanese language. Go to the local, go in the community and try to speak, yeah, Japanese language. So your Japanese language will improve. Yeah, don't worry to make a mistake. Yeah, human being a lot of mistake. Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't shy. Yeah, try to speak Japanese in order to improve your Japanese language. Yeah, and how about the institution? Institution have very serious, yeah, make education. Not only take money from the student, yeah, also give the serious training. How about the government? Indonesian government institution. Indonesian government institution also have the strict inspection, maybe from the Ministry of Labor, yeah, something like that. Not only get the report, yeah, but no, not going to the training center, but they have to make inspection, very strict in inspection to the training center. How about Japanese government? Yeah, Japanese government also make a good policy. Yeah, how about the Japanese people or private or company in Japan? More open mind. Yeah, more open mind. As you know, Japanese people is very close community. Yeah, as you know, maybe you learn Japanese history. Yeah, in Japanese history during the Tokugawa shogunate. Yeah, in maybe 17th century to 19th century, about 250 years isolate, close to another country. And now 2026, it's only 100 or 150 years. So it means 250 years they isolate. It's afraid to see the another people. So until if you need Japanese people more open mind, maybe you need 100 years or 150 years to make them open mind. Maybe this is my assumption. Yeah, my assumption. Yeah. So we have to active, more active to persuade to integrate with the Japanese people. Take trash ya, collect the trash ya in near your home something. Try to win the heart of Japanese people. Mengambil hati ya, mengambil apa? Memenangkan hati to win the Japanese heart ya. That's the one of the how to integrate with the Japanese people. Yeah, before I finish my presentation, I will read the pantun tuh ya. Kalau ada sumur di ladang, boleh kita menumpang mandi. Kalau ada umur panjang, boleh kita bersua lagi. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Antonius Purnomo, and also for the pantun. That is such a great one. For such an insightful and comprehensive presentations. Now allow me to highlight several important points from these final presentations. First one, Indonesian migrant workers face unique integration challenges shaped by culture and religious identities, and they need to improve their own skills and have a high willingness to work. And for this to happen, there need to be an assistant to improve the migrant worker mentality. And then Japanese training, there need to be a Japanese training, good mentor system, building a system for university to have a community empowerment program for mentoring the migrant workers. And lastly, all in all, for a successful migration policies, one must embed the integrations throughout the entire migration cycle, from requirement to reintegrations. Also need to have a strict mechanism on the recruitment of the migrant workers itself. Once again, please give an applause for all the three speakers of the panel two sessions for today. Okay, we will now proceed to the questions and answer sessions. Offline participants may raise their hands, and online participants may use the raise hand features. Please state your name and institutions, also questions before speaking. Wow, we already have several questions.
Hello, thank you so much, sir. So my question is that you talked about the mentality of Indonesian workers, but what I see or what I observed, I'm from Pakistan. I'm basically from North, but I live in Lahore. So Pakistani people and Indian people are kinda same historically and linguistically. We see millions of Indian workers. Indians are the most hated people in the world when it comes to ethics. Yeah, that's kind of reality. But still, we see millions of Indians in Canada. We see millions in Singapore. We see hundreds of thousands in Australia, more than Indonesians. But countries are running well. Even the Prime Minister of UK, Rishi Sunak, was Indian, and something like in the US, we see a big communities. So, in my opinion, the problem is not with Indonesian, but the problem is with the racism in Japan, because they are not ready to accept. For example, in my culture, if my friend don't drink from my glass, I won't talk to them next day. But I came to Indonesia, and people here don't use other person glass or bottle. Yeah, if I use once, the Indonesian person needs to be polite to me, talk to me, accept me, and give me time to integrate. Secondly, in countries like Sweden, Canada, Germany, the governments are spending a huge amount on providing free language classes, and until they start working, they provide them free money, stipend, free housing, support them until they integrate. And after that, they give them citizenships and blah blah along things. So The government give them a lot, so the people are very willing to integrate. But when it comes to Japan, there is no citizenship. You work 20 years there, you have to work like in very bad conditions in Japan. I have a lot of friends in working in Japan, legal, not illegal. Legal workers, their conditions are worst, really bad. It's better to live in Indonesia or Pakistan than working in Japan, like informal labor. But when it comes to Europe, we see illegal immigrants. In Pakistan, we have a lot of illegal people who go there on boats and ships to Italy, Germany. But what they provide them, free housing, free language classes, free schooling until they're ready to work. So why the Japan is so close to the other communities? Yeah, that's my question.
Thank you for the questions. Moving on to the next one, we will like combine all the questions first.
Uh, Okay, so let me ask one question about that. Maybe Professor Michi or Dr. Ando can answer that one. So, like, thank you very much for the insightful presentation about. I learned about the state responsibility. Oh, yeah. My name is Min Kandoi. I'm from Myanmar. So like Myanmar is also same like facing same problem for the migrant white worker in Japan also. So some of the solution provided by Dr. Michi that the state should be like shoulder for the cost, and also Dr. Endo solutions for the like culture and language barrier. But those are the individual ways to solve that. Is there any like formal way like reporting system? Is there any problem like happen between the employee and employer? Thank you.
And to the last one from Rakai.
Okay, thank you for the time. Back again, it's me, Rakai. So the question is a little bit easier because I really want to find an answer for one of my biggest curiosity is that back then I actually start to learn Japanese, but it's quickly knocked out because of the grammar, and then I switched to other language. Now, but back again, looking at the problem in Japan, and there's a huge possibilities for talents around Japan. But I believe that more people that actually have the same problem with me. Actually, we are interested to live in Japan, working in Japan, but the language is still hard to be acquired. Is there any like maybe chance or huge space for those who are maybe have less capability to learn Japanese quickly? Maybe they can learn, but so much time they just focus on their substance and their skill rather than the language itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for all the participants and your questions. We will probably start from Dr. Melvin if there is you want to answer, and then moving on as the how the speakers go. Maybe Dr. Melvin, if you have any comments for the questions, you may.
Respond to the questions by looking at my own experience. At the state level, perhaps there's a lapse in the ways in which they're responding to the needs of the co-workers, of the care workers, rather in particular, and foreign migrants in general. But at the local level, you will see a lot of innovations and a lot of attempts to be able to, address the concerns of the migrants. For example, I stayed in Beppu. It's a province in Kyushu, and because of the presence of international university there, the local government is trying their best to provide services even to the wives of students. They offer language services. They also facilitate the enrollment of the children of migrants. So at the state level, yeah, there's a problem, but at the local level, you will see a lot of efforts just to be able to respond to the needs of migrant workers in Japan. But we did a study. I did a study with Pa Anton, and the same results. Nothing changed. It's always about language. And in the case of Indonesian care workers, the problem with how they can practice their religion while working at the same time. And in the case of the Filipinos, it's hard for us to learn Japanese. Even in my university, probably around 2 or 3 Filipinos learned Japanese, and we did not. So we decided to go back home because it's difficult for us. And now I'm here in Indonesia because it's easy for me to study bahasa.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Melvin, for your comment. Maybe moving on to Dr. Michio.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I'm sorry I didn't understand the second question very much. Was it addressed to Anton? Or the second question?
The second question for
Yeah, both of you, if who comfortable to answer is fine to answer.
Okay, okay, so let me skip that. Sorry, I'm very sorry. We can personally talk later. Okay. Thank you very much for the questions. Anyway, the first question, why Japan is so closed to foreigners, and Japan is not really facilitating what the other countries could, like in Canada and the UK and the Sweden and other countries do, even South Korea in recent years. Okay, so yes, I would say it's partly because of history, as Dr. Antonio said a while ago. The mindset is still closed. It would take another perhaps 150 years to change our mind. So historically, culturally, yes. And another thing is that Japan is such a small country. Actually, it's only in the 20th century that Japan achieved a high level of economic development. But otherwise, if you look back the history of Japan in the past 2,000 years, let's say, so Japan has always been just a tiny island countries next to the giant, the civilizational giant, the China. Okay, so Japan Japan is just has always been just a really a small inaka, this is the countryside, in terms of geography. So perhaps it's not really used to be open or to take the kind of generous perspective. And another reason could be the uniqueness of the language. Okay, I think I'm not an expert in linguistics, but I used to teach the Japanese language as well in the Philippines some 20 years ago. So I did study a little bit of the language teaching, and yes, in terms of letters alone, it is quite unique in terms of that it's not a logical language at all. When the language is more advanced, more civilized, and the more it becomes the rational. And also, like Indonesian Bahasa, it was made by the Indonesian government to be rational. Okay, so there is a certain consistencies. That's why perhaps it is quite easy for foreigners to master. But the Japanese language, it's not. There were times that to logicalize and to make it consistent in terms of the writing system and the writing system and the reading system and the speaking, practice. They are all inconsistent, and this in several critical points in history, the Japanese government or the leaders or leading linguists try to rationalize to be consistent, but all attempts failed in the middle, somewhere in the middle of the processes. So that's where we are here today. So the Japanese, the children just forced to adapt this very, very, what you say, ambivalent, inconsistently formulated language. Naturally, in speaking, writing, and reading, and hearing. Okay, so that's one. Well, perhaps it could be an opportunity when the Japan is forced to welcome more foreign workers and foreign population itself, actually including students, you guys, to energize the country. Then this is the time that we are forced to make the language system more systematic. But it may take another, I don't know how many decades perhaps to achieve that. Okay, and what? Yes, and for the workers, yes, care work is very tricky work. It is yes, I have been I have emphasized in my presentation that the skilled work, it really requires a certain skill, but at the same time, it is a kind of emotional work. That the human touch is very important. That's where actually all types of linguistic activities are required. They have to be able to communicate well with the elderly, and they must be also able to communicate well, among the staff and the co-workers. And also they have to be able to communicate well with the family members of the elderly. And they must be not only the verbal communications, they must be able to write the records properly and must need to be able to read all the instructions. And the Japanese government keeps on changing the laws and the regulations and the rules about this governmental insurance system. So they keep on offering like seminars and the legal terms and the new systems, and they must be able to read all the legal documents as well. If you really want to get promoted as a professional care worker. So all types of linguistic skills with this very irrationally constructed language is required for foreign workers. For other fields like agriculture, construction, very basic language skills will do. As long as they can survive, daily lives. But for care work, it is tricky. And another thing, of course, ideally, they must pass the national examination for certified care workers if they want to stay in Japan for good, for longer terms. So well, this is really the challenging to Japanese language and the Japanese society. By the way, for the welfare of foreign workers, one of the things that I wanted to emphasize in my presentation is I think they can somehow learn from the tactics of the Philippine government. Actually, don't expect the Japanese government to change or the Japanese society to change. They will never change, okay? Or they will, but very slowly. But it is changing slowly because of the demands coming from the Philippine government, okay? The Philippine government has a number of laws to protect migrant workers. So in the process of the EPA negotiations, of course, it is a government-to-government program. So both governments were mandated by their own laws. Okay, so for the Japan side, at that time, they did not accept non-skilled workers. So they have to make it appear that these care workers are skilled workers. That's why it required, you need college degree, you need this and that, and also to be considered that they are skilled workers. On the Philippine side, okay, also was bound by their own laws. The migrant workers, should not be paid, should not shoulder the cost, okay, for training, transportation, matching, whatever. At that time, actually, the law was not very well practiced, implemented. So actually, the many workers had debt before going to work abroad, but at least there was a law. So when the G2G negotiations were taking place, they could not violate their own laws. That's why the EPA became framed that in such a way. And today, more and more demands coming from the Philippine government. So even in the trainees, SSW, for the Japanese government makes a special treatment for Filipino applicants. And the employers also have to abide by the laws when they hire Filipino workers. And that's the difference happening among the Filipino like trainees and other foreign trainees. Actually, employers do not like Filipinos anymore because it costs. Yes, but the other employers would say it's better to get Filipinos because they are once they come, it's very stable. Okay, so it costs, but they are sure of the stability of the workers. So Uh, so it comes from the outside the pressure that now the Japanese government and the society is changing. And that we're looking again back the history of Japan, it's always the outside pressures to change something in Japan. I understand that the Indonesian government, Vietnamese governments, and other governments are trying to imitate what the Philippine government has been doing in terms of migrant workers. So I think that will be another way, perhaps, to improve their conditions.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Michio. And lastly, we will hear from Dr. Antonius. And maybe, Doctor, I'm really sorry, but if you
Sure.
may
On
to answer briefly because of the time
Yeah.
limitation. Thank you
Okay,
so
thank you,
much.
thank you. I really want to talk many things here about Japan, the difference of Japanese philosophy and Indonesian philosophy. For example, like this, about money. Yeah, if you find money over there, you think that this money came from God, but it's not. It's not your money. It's someone lose their money. So it's the money belong to someone who lose the money. Yeah, don't say that it's the present from the God. So you have to take the money and report to the police office. And I found this money, and please find someone who lose the money. That's the difference between Indonesian and Japanese way of life, something like that. And then one thing, the culture to say thank you. For example, yeah, my student asked to me recommendation to make scholarship. Yeah, ask me mail, please, and say write a recommendation for me. Okay, I will make it for you, and then I send it back to him, to her, but he or she forgot to say thank you. Thank you. Say, never. I'm waiting for a long time. No thank you email. That's wrong. Yeah, that's wrong. And then they will say reason like this. Sensei, I already say thank you to God, but not to God. The recommendation letter from me, not from God. Yeah, it's different way, different philosophy. Yeah, it's from me, not from God. Yeah, it's the different culture. Something like that. We have to teach. We have to teach someone who know about Japanese culture. Have to teach the migrant worker, yeah, before they came to Japan. And the cultural thing is very important, yeah, not only for the political or social thing. The cultural thing is very important thing. And the second one is why Japanese people are so close. Yeah, recently I already explained about that, yeah. And then how to learn Japanese quickly. There is no instant way, yeah, to learn many things, yeah. But if let me give you advice, yeah, you just remember a lot of words, yeah, maybe words. And just and then if you have a lot of knowledge about words, just say something like that. No problem about the grammar, yeah. The grammar is no problem. That's in the way and the quick way. But really, there is no instant way to learn something, yeah. You need repetition again, yeah. And don't see K-drama, Korean drama too much. Yeah, I advise you to see Japanese drama. Yeah, to improve your Japanese language skill. Yeah, it's not about to promote Japanese, yeah, Japanese thing. Yeah, but yeah, that's the logic way to learn Japanese language. I think it's enough, yeah, from me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Antonius Purnomo. Once again, please give a round of applause for all of our speakers.
Mm.
Okay, we are already in the end of our sessions. Thank you very much for all speakers for the active discussions on the sessions. We had a very insightful presentation and discussion with interesting topics from environmentalism to labor market. We are sorry that due to time limits and constraints, the questions that can be asked only three. And once again, on behalf of the committee, we will extend our thanks to Dr. Melvin Ajabar, Dr. Michio Yoneno Reyes, and Dr. Antonios Purnomo. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you once again. I will hand over this to the Master of Ceremony. Oh, before, if I may ask the speakers to come back in front because there will be a certificate handling ceremony. Dr. Mi, yeah.
Gonna be the first. Siapa pertama? Michiu. Michiu apa? Michiu Sensei. Ya, lupa ya. Ya, ya, gitu. Foto ya. Foto.
Thank you for moderators and speakers for the insightful session. And we will now have a brief coffee break for 15 minutes. Start from now. May I now have your attention, please? Distinguished guests, we now enter our final session, panel session 3. This session will be moderated by Mrs. Dian. Joining her are our final speakers, Dr. Dindo, Mr. Yuji Shinozaki, and Dr. Ari Kusuma Paksi. Mrs. Dian, please kindly take the time.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope the coffee bring the energy back here to this room. So, yeah, this is the third one, the last one that we have discussed. We agree that we are the team that carry the hardest task because this is the last session. Yeah, so much energy already used previously, and because we are the grassroots. Grassroots is the foundation. It's really heavy. We have to carry everything above us. Well, yeah, that make us feel quite more energized. Yeah. All right. So it's really nice to meet all of you, and it's great we have our three speakers here. Dr. Dindo Cafe, good afternoon, and Mr. Yuji Shinozaki, good afternoon, and Dr. Ari Kusuma Paksi, good afternoon. Sometimes I'm confused with him, he is my colleague, my boss, but he sometimes called me mommy. I told him, you're just like my son if you called me mommy. I said, okay, all right. So here, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that we are going to talk about the grassroots. We are the one who talk about the peace building among the society, right? We don't really have that much time. We have to finish at 15:45. So it will be about 15 to 20 minutes maximum for each one of you. And the first one will be Dr. Dino Cafe. He will talk about the katawan sa Kalinau. Katauhan sa Kalinau. So it's a phenomenological study on the peace building process through interfaith dialogue in Kota Batu City, Maguindanao. Maguindanao. All right, thank you. So the time is yours, please.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the terms. Now, these are Filipino terms, actually. So that's correct, though we will be bringing you to a more specific, grassroots, community-based perspective on Bimp, Eaga, Japan, because the previous presentations are actually more macro and structural in perspective. And so to give flavor on what's happening at the local communities, I think the three presentations would give you that perspective. For my presentation, I actually just have what do you call this, a little revision of my title. So I revise it as peacemaking building or peacemaking building process through interfaith dialogue in Cotabato City, Maguindanao, specifically looking into the implications to Bimp Iaga, Japan. It is my honor to be part of Bimp Iaga Japan conference to share the work with the esteemed audience. Today, my presentation will discuss about building process in the southern region of the Philippines, with the aim of contributing to our shared dialogue on regional cooperation, sustainable development, and inclusive development. I look forward for your insights and discussion. Our study explores through ethnography the lived experiences of Muslims, Christians, and Lumads, collectively called the Tri people, who have participated in the interfaith dialogues as part of the localized peace building efforts in Cotabato City, Maguindanao, Philippines, which is situated in the region marked by cultural diversity and historical conflict. Dialogues shown deepen spiritual understanding, foster interfaith solidarity, and influence institutional practice. The study concludes that interfaith dialogue, when locally grounded and relationally sustained, holds promise to transforming deeply communities or deeply rooted conflict and building enduring peace. I just want to walk through you with the historical context of the conflict in Mindanao. During the Spanish colonization, the conflict began with the native inhabitants exhibited resistance to converting to Christianity or into Christianity that led to the point where the Moro was used by Spaniards derogatorily to reinforce division and exclusionary politics. Under American colonization, the Moros of Mindanao did not adhere to the benevolent assimilation through rebellions like 1899 to 1913 Moro Rebellion, which eventually did not succeed. The post-colonial government continued systemic discrimination and depicted when Muslim military trainees and corregidor were executed. That was known as the Jabida Massacre in 1968 and the imposition of martial law by the dictatorship of Marcos Sr. in the country, which sparked the Moro nationalist movement. The the formation of the Moro National Revolution Front in 1972 marked the significant phase of advocating for autonomy and Moro identity as the descendants of their ancestors who were neither subjugated nor colonized. Um, there are efforts for autonomy resulted in 1976 Tripoli Agreement that was signed by the national government and the MNLF. Yet, only 5 out of 13 provinces voted for or in favor of creation of autonomous region for Muslim Mindanao or ARM. So it was only in 1996 finally, that the final peace agreement under the Ramos administration that ERMM was finally established. However, international disagreements led to the creation of Moro Islamic Liberation Front in 1984 as they pushed for full autonomy of the Bangsamoro in contrast with the acceptance of NMLF to semi-autonomy with the current ARMM at the time. These ideological and political differences marked decades-long armed insurgency in Mindanao, which have led cases of violence and multiple deaths. Eventually, in 2011, comprehensive agreement on Bangsamoro was signed under Aquino administration, which elevated ARM into Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM, several years after granting the region enhanced self-governance. In January 2019, a plebiscite in Cotabato to ratify Bangsamoro Organic Law was approved, and the decision marked Cotabato City's official inclusion in the newly formed Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao and was major milestone in the comprehensive agreement of the Bangsamoro, a peace deal that followed 17 years of negotiation and intermittent violence between the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. On December 15, 2020, a formal turnover ceremony took place to transfer the governance from Region 12 to BARM. This change is seen as a key achievement in the peace process as it aims to address long-standing issues in governance, self-determination, and political presentation or representation in the Bangsamoro or for the Bangsamoro people. Despite the establishment of BARM, challenges still persist, including unresolved ethnic tensions and governance inefficiencies, which underscores the need for sustained efforts for peace building, such as interfaith dialogues to address regions' complex socio-political issues. So the pictures there are taken from one of the, from different newspapers, and these are actual photos of the wars that happened in Mindanao. Just to give you the site or the place where the study was conducted. This was conducted specifically in South Cotabato, which you have the right there at the left map. And then this is composed of different municipalities or towns, and you have there at the left, at the right side. I mean, these are the towns that uh, compose South Cotabato. The study is about three groups of people, specifically Muslims, Christians, and Lumads, or the indigenous peoples. In 2022, official statistics stated that there were 4,400, or 4 million, 4,400 Muslims, or 16.78% of the Mindanao population and 4.04% of the total population. The establishment of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao was a significant milestone in addressing the historical struggles of Muslim communities for autonomy and representation. For Muslim Barm, Islam is a fundamental aspect of their identity and governance, influencing both personal and collective actions, with the Bangsamoro government guided by principles aligned with Islamic values and goal of moral governance. For Christians and Christians or Christian settlers in the context of BARM, particularly those in and around Cotabato City, have a complex history shaped by both integration and conflict with indigenous and Muslim communities. The Christian populations primarily expanded in Mindanao due to migration policies in the mid 20th century, which led to economic development and increased religious diversity. However, this migration also introduced competition over land and resources, which have sometimes strained interfaith relations. So you have there the picture. The first picture there at the left is the picture of the Archdiocese of South Cotabato, and you have there the Mosque of Muslim at the right side, and then at the bottom you have there the Lumads. And for the Lumads, the indigenous peoples of Mindanao, collectively known as Lumads, have coexisted with Moros long before the arrival of Western colonizers and Christian settlers. The communities have preserved their pre-Islamic and pre-Christian traditions, maintaining their distinct cultural identity separate from both Moros and Christian settlers. Among the various Lumad groups are Tiduray, we also have Dulangan, Manobo, Balaan, Higawnon, and Lambingan. Now, moving on with the key concepts as to peace or peace building, interfaith peace building process. We have three big concepts here coming from different groups. We have Kalinaw for the Christians, we have Kalilintad for the Muslims, and we have Kitinanik for the Lumads. Kalinaw is a Cebuano language, and Cebuano is one of the big cities, or Cebu is one of the big cities in the Philippines. It's actually located in the Visayas center of the Philippines. And the concept of Kalinaw would refer to peace directly, and being this is usually used by the Christians, no, who interpreted the peace through interpersonal or interpersonal spirituality and interpersonal relationships. Some accounts articulate peace as something encompassing multiple dimensions that are not limited to the self, and their definitions of peace clearly reflect the teachings of the church in words and in actions. Many participants describe peace as their inner calmness derived from the strong relationship with God, transcending to the experience of pertinent values in Christianity, such as justice to mankind and reconciliation with people. Specifically, there are terms related to this. We have spiritual harmony, which is rooted in the Eucharist, peace through relationship with God and love of neighbor, and then social justice and reconciliation, which is advocacy for social justice and healing and forgiveness. For Kalilintad, which is used by the Islam, in Maguindanao, peace is directly related to local term Kalilintad. Among Muslim participants, Kalilintad is deeply rooted in the spiritual submission and obedience to Allah, which reflects Islam's emphasis on peace through faith, and it was also depicted in how they perceive justice and the right to self-determination. As participants articulated their definitions of peace through lived experiences, it also revealed how it is not only limited to the absence of conflict, but also the um, sustenance of their needs every day or their daily needs. With long-standing conflict and history where they are receiving end of the prejudices and biases of the minority, Muslims continue to yearn for lasting peace in their community. And this is basically related to three concepts, which are first, inner peace through faith and submission, justice and autonomy, and coexistence and respect. The Kitinanic term is a Tiduray word that emerged as a concept of peace for indigenous peoples, one that is inseparable from their relationship with the nature and land. Peace is found in the harmonious coexistence with the environment through untouched forest, clean rivers, and the protection of ancestral domains. For Lumads, the degradation of the nature was seen not only as environmental loss, but a disruption of peace. Cultural practices linked to the nature of practice and indigenous peoples from moment of one's birth were also shared by some participants. Ultimately, their articulation of peace closely links safety, in which they can freely exercise their right to their customary practices and traditions without fear of some external forces that will suddenly arrive and claim for ancestral lands. Now, for the next discussion, this is actually my last slide. I just want to look into what are the implications of this kind of interfaith or with this process in terms of interfaith dialogue to Bimp Iaga, Japan, so that we can learn from the experience of South Cotabato. First, of course, it's one implication would be peace as cultural and human-centered foundation for regional cooperation. And we have the concept of Kalinaw, Kalilintad, and Kititanik, synthesized under the concept of Katauhan, highlight that peace in Mindanao is not merely absence of conflict, but a culturally embedded, lived condition tied with dignity, justice, faith, land, and identity. So for Bimp Iaga Japan cooperation, this implies that economic integration and development initiatives must be anchored in culturally sensitive peace building, and Japan's cooperation frameworks, often emphasizing human security, align well with this perspective, reinforcing peace as both means and an outcomes of development. Second, strengthening human security and inclusive development. And here we have the Bimp Iaga's Japan's development philosophy that emphasized human security, um, basically resonates strongly with first Christians' focus on reconciliation and justice, and then Muslims' emphasis on justice, autonomy, and basic needs, and then Lumad's insistence on land security, environmental protection, and cultural survival. So BIMP Iaga projects supported by Japan and other countries must therefore avoid one-size-fits-all models, integrate safeguards to ancestral domains, religious freedom, and community consent, and address structural inequalities that fuel conflict, particularly for indigenous peoples. And this approach reduces risk that development projects unintentionally exacerbate tensions. Number three, we have one implication is to support for interfaith and intercultural dialogue as peace structure. So here, the tri-people experience shows that interfaith dialogue is not symbolic, it's not only symbolic, but a practical mechanism for coexistence. And for BIMP Iaga Japan, cooperation, this suggests that investment should not only be on physical infrastructure, but also on peace infrastructure, such as interfaith and intercultural platforms, community mediation building or system that bridge Christian, Muslim, and Lomad mechanism, capacity building for local peace actors, and Japan's credibility as a neutral and colonial partner positions it to support the dialogue-based initiatives without triggering political sensitivities. And then number four, we have localization of governance and conflict resolution, that here the discussion on indigenous conflict resolution systems underscores the limits of centralized and externally imposed government models. And for BIMP Iaga Japan, cooperation implies respecting localized governance structure in project design and implementation, supporting hybrid systems that integrate traditional and formal institutions and recognize LUMADs as equal stakeholders, not peripheral beneficiaries. And this aligns to the emphasis of community-driven development and participatory governance. The fifth one is environmental peace building and sustainable development that we're in local, the LUMADs, concept of Katinanik directly links peace with environmental integrity. So given Japan's leadership in sustainable development and climate resilience, cooperation under Bimp Eaga can first integrate environmental protection as a peace building strategy, and two, support projects that protect forests, rivers, and ancestral lands. And number three, frame environmental sustainability as essential to regional stability, not just ecological outcomes. And for the last one, we have Mindanao as a model for multicultural peace in the Bimp Iaga region. So finally, the tri-people synthesis offers Mindanao as a living laboratory for cultural peace building, which is a valuable reference for other diverse regions like Indonesia, Malaysia, and other countries, wherein Japan's engagement can help elevate the experiences of this country to first, regional knowledge sharing platforms. Second, south and triangular cooperation models. And lastly, best practices for managing diversity, identity, and development simultaneously. That ends my presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dindo Cafe. So it's very interesting. We see how the community, what is it, try to build, their own the engagement and everything, the peace process. Okay, so we will go directly to the second speaker now. All right, Mr. Yuji Shinozaki. He's going to talk about now. It's Kusanone. Is that correct? Kusanone. Thank you. So that's the Japan's grant assistance to empower grassroots level communities. So the time is yours, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you make it the full screen? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Selamat sore, Bapak-Bapak, Ibu-Ibu, teman-teman. Terus magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I think I covered you all, right? I hope. Anyway, it is my great pleasure and honor to be here at the campus of University of Muhammadiyah, Yogyakarta, and the conference for Bimp Eaga. Okay. Today I will talk about the grant assistance for grassroots human security project. In Japanese, as she mentioned, it's Kusanone project. And this is one takeaway for you from today's presentation, today's seminar. Okay, kusa means grass. Ne is roots. So, okay, can you please repeat after me? Kusanone. Not correct. One more time. Kusanone. Perfect. Okay, kusanone means grassroots. So today you remember. Now you learned at least one Japanese word. Okay, this is me. I'm not going to read this one anymore, but as you can see, I'm not a scholar or academician like the distinguished speaker today. I'm a rather, I would say, practitioner by profession. And here it is born in Yokosuka, Japan, January 1964. That means I'm 62, and my birthday was just a week ago. Okay, that's not a big thing. Okay, can you take a look at this slide? Okay, I will explain what is Kusanone project. Okay, here. Our school buildings are also old, holes on the floors and ceilings. Toilets are broken. Need a new building, but no money. The government subsidies only cover the operational costs. What shall we do? Second, the village clinic needs an ambulance in order to save the life of villagers. But we are private institution and no financial support from the authority. What shall we do? Third, we need access to clean water in order to have decent life. But the village does not have fund, no financial support from the authority. What shall we do? Probably some of your kampung have the same problem. Here, Kusanone grassroots can help. Okay, this is a flyer for this Bantuan Hibah Grassroots untuk Keamanan Manusia. I'm sorry, I don't translate this into English. Well, but for instance, I have the flyer here, the paper one. If you are interested in the Kusanone project, I have some paper flyer for you so you can take it later. Okay, very initial part of the flyer, it says what grassroots is. Grassroots Human Security Grant Assistance is a bilateral ODA grant by government of Japan. It's adequate, direct, and prompt assistance for local NGOs. And assistance program to meet the diverse needs of local community by directly supporting the development activities run by NGOs and local governments rather than by national, central governments. Okay, so please remember this part. It's a direct assistance to the local community. That's a key part of the grassroots project. Okay, overview of Japan grant assistance to Bimp in fiscal year 2023. Okay, I'm talking about the grant assistance overall, not just Kusanone project. You may know what grant assistance is. The grant assistance is just GIFT. On the other hand, ODA has the portion of loan, which is just you have to pay back later anyway. So as naturally, the loan part is bigger than grant part. Grant part, actually, it's getting smaller and smaller. Unfortunately, Japan is now economically not doing very well, and Japan is now shrinking. So the budget for ODA is also shrinking drastically, actually. But however, Japan still provides grant assistance. In case of Indonesia, 3.452 million yen, 3,452 million yen for Indonesia. But among this 3,452 million yen, grassroots portion is only 70 million yen for 8 projects for a year. The big portion would go to enhanceability in maritime safety and security. So it's something to do with the security issue. And to the Philippines, 3,400 million yen. And the grassroots is only 87 million for 8 projects, so not very big. And Malaysia, 400 million yen, very small portion. And what happened to, what happened to Brunei? Grant assistance is now available for Brunei. Brunei is rich enough not to receive any grant from poor Japanese government anymore. Okay, grassroots human security project is grant to fulfill basic human needs through NGOs, social organization activities. So it's a directly supporting the community. Then one portion is very small, less than 20 million yen, around 128.5 thousand US dollars. So one portion is not very big. But directly benefits those economically suffering, socially weak, and etc. to the community. And this money comes from where? It's from Japanese taxpayers' money, like me or those who used to live in Japan and pay the Japanese tax. So even a single penny should not be wasted. And the bottom part, Xanone, all over the world is 160 projects in 115 countries, and total fund, Japanese yen is 6.37 billion yen for the fiscal year 2023. So actually not only in this area of the world, but it's all over the world, kind of the project. In case of Indonesia, fiscal year 2024 is 6 project. And education, for the education, 3 project, and the health, 2 project, and the water project is 1. And year before that, only 4 project. Education is 1 project, health sector is 3 project. Why the difference is 6 project and 4 project? Depending on the application, whether application is good or not, and at the same time, there's a budget limitation. The budget coming from central government, so there's maybe other countries got a bigger project, a bigger budget than Indonesia. Okay, who are the recipients of this project? I'm gonna skip this one to save some time. But anyway, we support foundations in Indonesia called yayasan. Most of our recipients are yayasan. And yayasan who has ability to manage the project. We also screen whether this yayasan has ability to manage the project or not. That's also very important. Even though project looks good and it will support a lot of people, but yayasan has no, maybe has not enough ability to manage the project. We may not accept that application. Okay, I'll skip this part. Okay, so this is where to apply is you apply to each embassy. So those of you who might be interested in it, you can contact the embassy to whether if you want to apply for this project. And the selection process is, I think I'm going to skip this one, but anyway, the final decision is made at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Tokyo. So in the process, it's a lot of bureaucracy actually. So you have to answer, there's a lot of question and answer from us to the recipient until the project is accepted. And not only the screening, after the completion of the project, there is a very strict survey or inspection at the time of completion. And even 2 years later, we follow up. We go to the site and check whether, everything is at the schedule and everything is well maintained. So going back to, the money is coming from taxpayers' money. So we are very strict about this money is used well or not. Okay, now I will share with you with this actual some cases. First is the health field. This project is a medical equipment for strengthening maternal and child health service in Boyolali, Jawa Tengah. Anybody from this area, Boyolali or Solo, Surakarta? Anybody? Nobody? Well, anyway, that's fine. This is a project actually I took care of. In this project, we financed the portable ultrasonography, the echo machine, echo thing, and the ventilator for newborn baby. and the patient monitor, the monitor the patient, so the heart pulse or, breathing and blood pressure and so on, as a patient monitor. And you look at the picture, in Bahasa Indonesia, it's a prasasti. Prasasti is a signboard. We ask them to put this kind of things so that people will know that things are supported by Japanese government and Japanese people. Okay, this is a picture of patient monitor and ventilator for newborn baby. And this is a picture, actually the couple just got a baby and put the infuser and baby patient monitor. And this picture is very crucial. So on the left, this is ultrasonography. And on the right, this is in a remote village. And actually the clinic people will go there to the site and check the pregnant woman with this, using this portable ultrasonography. That is a reason why it has to be a portable one, because they have to bring it to the location, to the villages, so that they can extend their medical services to the villages. Whereas the villages have very difficult access to the hospitals or clinic, or, those medical services. And at the same time, maybe some of you are familiar with this one. Outside just now, the checking, nurses and midwives are holding a seminar for the pregnant woman or who are expecting the pregnancy, for the how to take care of the mother's body or the babies in your tummy. And this happens like outside the village office. So actually, the nurses and midwives, even doctors, they go to the villages, go around villages so they can support those people. And this is a consequence, death of newborn. So before they provide these ultrasonography, the baby, there's like 12 cases or 11 cases. But after they introduce this machine, just one case. So at least 10 lives are saved by this. And number of cesarean section too. So it's 2021 is 753 cases a year, but 2025 is 1,881 cases, or multiply. So people are having safer delivery now. Next case is the education field. It's a school. Well, actually, overall the world, more than 6% goes to education field, especially elementary school and middle school. So construction of Islamic elementary school building in Lawaslapan, Lampung. Anybody from Lampung? Nobody? Nobody? Nobody, okay. Okay. So this is a case, building for 4 classrooms, one building, and building for toilets. Conditions before project, okay. Maybe it's a kind of vague. On the pictures on the left, you can see they build a very rough wall in the classroom so that you can have 2 classes at the same time in one classroom instead of one class. But you can see there's a between the wood, there's space. That means you can actually hear the class next to you. Maybe one class is the first year class, and next one is the second year class. So they are doing the different classes, but you can hear each other. It's very confusing, and it's and in terms of the education, which is not very good. And you can see the holes on the ceiling. And the sad story is a toilet. What happened to school toilet is broken. The student must go home for toilet. So every time they want to go to the toilet, they have to go home. Can you imagine that? But this is how it is in the rural area, actually. So conditions after the project, toilets are okay. The classrooms are okay. You don't have to separate the one classroom into two. So everyone goes, semangat, yay. Actually, you can see the picture. Everyone's going semangat like this. Okay, you're not disturbed by noise from the next class, and you don't have to rush to home for toilet anymore. Okay, so that's the actual cases. In BIM countries where you can access to the information about this grassroots. In the case of Philippines, okay, you go to the embassy's website, and on the left-hand side, there's a GSP, grassroots project. There's a button there. You can get information. Malaysia too. On the left-hand side of the website, there's a grassroots button. And Brunei, sorry, not in the recipient list anymore. Too rich. Okay, Indonesia on the left-hand side too, Tata Cara Pengajuan Bantuan Hibah Grassroots. If you press this button, you can go to you can get to the web page that gives you the information about grassroots project. Okay, the conclusion, what the grassroots human security project is, a small-scale ODA grant program, gift program. Small, but fast. It will not take a long time, like several years, to give away the support. The fund directly to be allocated from Japanese government to NGO, not to the government. So that means no politics or no politicians involved in the process, which is also very important, I think. The fund is used exclusively for grassroots level life improvement. So human security. So it will not support the rich people live richer, but those who are economically in a difficult situation, the fund will directly go to support those people. So this is what grassroots human security is. So why not grassroots? We are always waiting for application. Thank you very much. And as I mentioned, there's a flyer it's for you to take.
Thank you, Mr. Yuji Shinozaki. So on behalf of the grassroots in Indonesian, I would like to say thank you very much to the Japanese taxpayer. But really, sincerely, because that's that really helps. And actually, I was also building renovate our kindergarten. I didn't know about this before. Maybe next year I will apply for this grant. Thank you very much. Yeah, but okay. Thank you. So we will go to the third speaker, Dr. Ari Kusuma Paksi, where he will talk about Muhammadiyah then. Yeah, and it's the bridging the service gap, the role of faith-based organization in public welfare in Indonesia and Japan. Okay, we are going to use this microphone, please.
So, so thank you so much for the opportunity. Basically, unlike the other speakers, that the alumnus of the Japan based scholarship, mine basically the research that I conducted so far based on Japanese government support as well. Yeah. So this one, the research that I'm going to present is basically supported by Sumitomo research grant. I got a grant 2024. And also, for this one, for this conference, thanks to Pak Melvin and also Pak Purwoko from the Japan Foundation that can host this conference. Yeah, to learn more and then share ideas, build network among across the Japanese and also the Southeast Asian scholars. So in today's presentation, coincident link, yeah, with the previous presentation from Pak Yuji related to welfare. Here I tried to explain about how might the FBOs, in this context Muhammadiyah and Japan Buddhist Federation, contribute to the social welfare in the community in the respective countries. So comparison studies focus on public welfare, and then unlike the other research that focus on the theology or religious aspect, I tried to look at the different aspect about the contribution of these FBOs in the respective countries. Yeah. So I did some literature review about FEOs and their contributions in the societies, and I found out like many of these discussions so far or publications so far talk about FEO effectiveness through more focus on the religious strengths or belief and the philanthropy issue. Yeah. So and then I look as well through this publication. Much of the publications that they don't really look at the across various contexts, most importantly Japan and Indonesia context. Therefore, the focus of this research, I tried to look at beyond the religious aspect and philanthropy, and look at or put forward the external coordinations and governance context, yeah, to look at how the effectiveness, the key effectiveness of the FBO effectiveness in the both countries, as a alternative or an additional point of view to look at the contributions of this organization, the two organizations in both countries. So there are two questions that I try to look at. How do the FBOs adapt in respective countries, to look at the situations in each countries, and also how do the partnership save the legitimacies of their interventions. So the aim is not to say like which one the country is better in terms of this, but how systems difference, both in both countries, and how might the local context affect the FBO adaptation through their interventions, so that this issue links perfectly with the question matter about the ASEAN-Japan cooperation, where governance system vary widely among these countries. To advance this research question, I tried to to over the argument, the core argument, to say that explain that EBOs do not act alone, but stress that welfare or the welfare delivery depends on governance access, yeah, and also civil society networks, community trust. So governance context decide who can lead and how legitimacy is formed. Yeah. So the key is to say that the same organization will behave very differently in Indonesia and Japan. Again, it's because the local the context in which this FBOs is operating. In the next slide, I try to show in the literature there are many discussions about FBOs with their various aspects of capacities. Some talk about structure, some talk about human resource, fund, yeah, network, and so on so forth. That determine their effective interventions in various contexts. In this in this research, I tried to argue that it's not just its capacities alone, yeah, but rather the ability to coordinate externally, yeah, will determine actually the effectiveness of the intervention of FBOs in various contexts most importantly in the context of Japan and Indonesia. Yeah. So there are two coordinations, yeah, that I try to put forward: hierarchies, coordination through strong institution and formal authority, network based through partnership and civic platform, to emphasize that neither is superior; they are context dependent again. This is also a suitable link with the institutional diversity within the ASEAN and Japan, not just culturally different. Yeah. So moving to the empirical cases in the context of Indonesia, I discussed about the Muhammadiyah intervention through the stunting issue. Yeah. In Indonesia, stunting is one of most noticeable issues that experienced by kids, yeah, due to malnutrition and then also early marriage. So I went to Wonosobo, Central Java, and then I joined a couple of activities conducted by Muhammadiyah and its wings organization, because in Muhammadiyah there's no instead of the Muhammadiyah there are also the wings organization, young students and also young women, and then also the youth. Yeah, there are many organizations that supports of Muhammadiyah to conduct these activities. And also in Wonosobo, I found out that Muhammadiyah even cooperate with not only with religious like NU, but also to non-religious organization in order to get to get trust from the population in order to effective their intervention. So here we can see, for the context of Muhammadiyah, legitimacy or trusted comes first, and coordination follows through their interventions. And then also through the support of Sumitomo, I went to Japan, to Kyoto, Kobe, and some other cities. And also I went to Tokyo to conduct interviews with some, I hope that I can interview some monks. And also I interview the Musubi organizations to look at the children cafeterias, or Kodomo Sokodo, Sokodo, activities in which like children cafeterias in order to gather the kids, instead of they just eat at home because the parents they're busy working outside of the house. They try to gather the kids so that they have much more good nutrition with like a kind of social space with other kids. But unfortunately, it's due to the sensitive nature of the religious. Yeah, in Japan, I couldn't interview monks. Yeah, but I could interview some of the government officials and also the musubi, workers. Yeah, the NGOs workers, to look at the activities of the project activities. And it seems that in the context of Muhammadiyah, yeah, Muhammadiyah is much more well organized in terms of coordinations, using their capacities, institutional capacities, network, and fund. As you may know that even UMY is one of the social enterprise of Muhammadiyah. Besides, we got also some other like hospitals, kindergarten, high schools, and many more. So the existence of this supports of Muhammadiyah helps a lot to the intervention in stunting in Wonosobo. Unlike Muhammadiyah, in the case of Japan, it seems that even in Japan Buddhist Federation itself, each temple works separately, even though there's no that hierarchy. Yeah. So yeah, each temple they conduct their respective activities with Misubi without much communication, without much coordinations. So I really I really hope actually want to discuss much more about this case with the monks, but I don't know when I try to approach them, no response, from the monk that I tried to approach. So based on the findings of my research, um, uh, again, I would like to emphasize that coordination is essential in both countries, even though, in the context of Japan, it's very, very limited, very, very limited. In Indonesia, FBOs led, the intervention. Even during the COVID-19, for example, happening in Indonesia, Muhammadiyah, gives a big role, to the government, because one of the leaders of Muhammadiyah even support the government to address the COVID issue. While in Japan, FBO supports, because due to the sensitivity of the religion, Japan Buddhist Federation has to cooperate with secular organization so that they can get trust from the local populations. So shall we continue or stop? Yeah. For the azan, shall we continue? Just go. Okay. So just to continue, I got two more presentations. See, this research, contributes to the Bimp Eaga and Japan discussion by showing that social welfare corporations is not only state-led, even like UMY that conduct annually, activities, to connect young people, through the academic exchange, intercultural exchange, also contribute to the cooperations, among young people, and also hopefully it influenced the state cooperation. It means that non-state actors matters, but their roles vary by governance context. Japan's experience offers lessons for inclusive, non-intrusive cooperation in Southeast Asia. So these findings highlight the importance of people-centered and sustainable regional cooperation beyond infrastructure project per se. So this is the last one, the conclusion. FBO effectiveness is shaped by governance and coordination, not only religiosity alone, and also the capacities that it owns. Different institutional settings require different partnership, of course, models, and we do need research across various countries within the Bimp Eaga to look at this in much more details. Understanding the differences strengthens ASEAN-Japan social cooperation. So I think I will end up my presentation here. So thank you so much.
We shall just continue, yeah? All right, thank you. So we have listened to all of our three speakers on how work activities or social based activities, grassroots-based activities that is done in these several in Indonesia, Philippines, and Japan. All right. So now we only have 30 minutes. We only have more or less 30 minutes. So if there are any questions, please ask it briefly so that we can get all of the questions and it can be discussed with the speakers. Please, the time is yours. 1, 2, 2, 3. All right. Please.
Thank you very much for wonderful presentation. I have a question to Pa Ali about the non-state actors' involvement in Bimp Eaga. That's not the topic of your research today, but I'm so curious about the role of the, say, religious sector or FBO in your world. Is there any active FBO working in the area of Bimp Eaga, which may a kind of regional implication of integration of this region? That's my question.
Is there any activities of FBOs that integrate this?
Or maybe at least beyond the national border.
Oh, yeah.
You and the second.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. First, my name is Siti Hardanti Ramadhani. I'm from International Relation 2025. And I would like to ask about the medical tools. Like before that, embassy in Japan say like they support about the medical tools. And I would like to ask, I didn't hear before that about the support it from other countries or it is from Indonesian tools. I didn't hear it. Maybe I missed it before, and I would like ask like the medical tools is from other countries or from Indonesia. If it is from other countries, I would like to ask like there is a procedure how to use it the tools before because we hear like several hospitals didn't know about the tools because it is from other countries like they miss it about how to use the tools. So that's why I want to ask like there is a practicing for the nurse or the doctor that how to use the device before apply it or use it to the patients. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So is there any trainings, yeah, before they can use that tools? All right, thank you. And the last one, please.
Thank you very much. I have a question to Pak Ari. I think this is quite interesting. When you look into this, faith-based organizations, right? We're looking into how I think you did mention about this, social enterprise, right? Where I think that's the challenge of NGOs currently due to funding, right? Funding is a big problematic. It's not just in Indonesia, but all over these regions, right? When it's coming to funding, right? So from your point of view, it's just a very, I was curious about this, what was the challenges of this faith-based organization, FBO, in Indonesia, particularly with your research under this FBO? What are those challenges of whether you have issues of funding, and then is FBO moving towards from this so-called like traditional NGOs towards social entrepreneurships in the future, or that FBO nowadays already implementing this social enterprise, right? Secondly is to uh, Mr. Yuji about this. I know that I mean this is the issues about particularly with Brunei, right? So Brunei has no. You did mention about this one, right? But I think with regards to this NGOs, for instance, right? So we have NGOs in Brunei, and then similarly, I mean, we have issues about funding, right? NGOs stand alone, and sometimes they need funding from other entity, right, in order to injecting various projects within that context. It's not about, like that Brunei doesn't need this one, but about opportunity, right? So because Brunei can be a center for, executing this project, right? Cross country, for instance, like Brunei Sabah, Brunei Sarawak, Brunei Kalimantan, right? So it could be a possibility in the future that we're not talking about that Brunei doesn't need aid, but to some extent that it could be a collaboration, so a collaboration with this with NGOs, with civil society in Brunei, to work together in executing various projects. It's just, like I was curious about this one. Do you have any, initiative in doing this project in the future? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Professor Faris, please.
Thank you very much. Just a very quick question to Dr. Dino and to Shinozaki-san. The first in Mindanao, I think we have a similar kind of stories in various places in Philippines and Indonesia, where long history of as a result of a post-colonial state, we have a legacy of conflicts in many places. So my question is, in Mindanao, do you think that it's affect the economic development as a result between whether the social long conflict between societies or also as part of the policies between the local or domestic government with the central government. Do you see that also affect the economic development and the peace building process in Mindanao? And to Shinozaki-san, while giving the grassroots grant, um, is there any map, for example, do you receive all the proposal from any various projects, or do you also have a map, for example, in this place we will focus on the areas of conflict, areas of underdevelopment or health, or just receiving all proposal from diverse sectors? Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So Dr.
Thank you for
Abdul.
that question, Dr. Paris. I don't know if I got the question right. You're asking on the economic policy and the effect of this to the peace building process. The problem actually in terms of peace building in Mindanao is actually related to, not isolated, of course, from issue of economic. It's very much economic also in nature. Since the displacement of the Muslims in Mindanao is actually a result of the policy of former President Marcos Senior. Because he invited people coming from different regions in the Philippines to cultivate lands for free in Mindanao. And so what happened? The Lumads were displaced and they were marginalized. And so the ownership of lands were actually given to those coming from different varsitarian groups or people coming from different localities. And so that's one of the issues, which is in terms of that, it's economic. It's economic. And so people from not only the Islam, not only the Muslims would really look for solutions on the economic problems in Mindanao. It's because Mindanao, as compared to other regions or other big islands in the Philippines, like we have three big islands. One is Luzon, and then Visayas, and then Mindanao.
Wow.
So Mindanao will be one of the depressed. I mean, in terms of provinces and municipalities, most of the provinces and municipalities in that area are economically, of course, less privileged compared to other provinces. But of course, in the Visayas, we also have poor communities, but it's different case. I mean, in Mindanao, we are talking here of beyond or within poverty threshold. And when we talk about poverty threshold as um, defined by UN, it's like you have income of less than $1 a day. So that's 65 pesos in the Philippines. So if your income is below $1, it means that you are within the family, within the poverty threshold. You are poor. You are among the poorest of the poor. And so there are many people from that area who would really who belong to that kind of economic category. And so therefore, it's very much connected to economic, aside from political issues and historical context. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I believe I have three questions from, I'm sorry, what's your name again? Dia. Dia, okay. Dia, about the medical equipment, and another one is about Brunei's, whether grassroots can be extended to Brunei or not, and any focus area. So starting from this question, for the okay, grassroots, basically, the support is limited to things you can actually see and touch. So like buildings, facilities, or equipments. Soft components like trainings or like salaries are not something that we can support. Okay, in general. So like when we support, let's say just now, portable USG, our recipient must have somebody who can actually operate the machine. So we also check that. But there are some exceptions okay, this, let's say this hospital does have anybody who can operate this portable USG machine, USG, then as long as this training program is essential to operate this USG, then you can include this training, put the cost for training into our Danahiba. So it depends. But going back to what I mentioned, we support those yayasan who has the ability to complete the project. So whether you can actually use this facility or machine is also part of the screening project, or whether it must be included in the project itself. Am I clear? Okay. And the second one, whether this grassroots can be extended to Brunei or not. This is ODA's basic, I think it's a Japanese government basic policy. The Japanese ODA is extended to based upon OECD's DAC list, Development Assistance Committee list. So this list manifests, oh no, this list is a list of the countries who are still developing and needs official assistance from OECD members. And unfortunately, Brunei already graduated that list, like other developed countries, Western countries, and like Singapore as well. So I'm not a policymaker, but yeah, unless the policymaker says, okay, we'll do that to the Brunei too. Unless that, I don't think there's a chance for the Brunei to receive this grassroots. Am I clear?
Not we need to receive this, it's just, a collaborative approach.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Then so as the name grassroots shows, it was support the human security. So basically to fulfill the basic human needs. So we have to use a different scheme to support the foundations in Brunei, I believe. Am I okay? Okay. The focus area. There's a so this is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs would give us some kind of instruction for this year, kind of like this year. Okay, our main focus topic will be like this, and recent couple years about the area. As for the area, Indonesia is the eastern area of Indonesia. So Bali till Papua, yes. This is a focusing area. However, it does not mean that we do not accept application from other areas. But if there's a same kind of application from Papua, one from Java, we give priority to Papua. So we have now many projects in Papua. That's why I'm wearing a Cendrawasih batik, because 2 months ago I went to Merauke for the project. So I think it depends on policy decided by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Yeah. So I got two questions from Yosuke Sensei asking about, is there any FBOs that expand their activities within the Bimpiaga, right? So I think from the case of Indonesia, we got like Muhammadiyah, NU, yeah, and other religion or FBOs, yeah, that the intervention across Indonesia. As I am familiar with Muhammadiyah, yeah, like Muhammadiyah has a branch in Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, in other countries, and also Muhammadiyah also has university in Malaysia, in Australia, college. Yeah, so this makes the Muhammadiyah intervention can be much more smoothly expanded or implemented. Even like university like UMJ, UMJ send if right now UMJ sends student couple of couple of student groups to go for community development in Tawau, Davao, yeah, in rural areas to support the local activities, social enterprises activities. So these are some uh, some examples, not only from the Muhammadiyah but also the social enterprises, within Muhammadiyah try to contribute, try to connect, yeah, through like the external activities. Also, the UMA, as I mentioned earlier, conduct an annual activities that try to gather students. So, last year we managed to host a summer school, uh, attended by students from 9 countries, yeah, including from Bibiaga and Japan as well, Korea, China. So I think this is also one of the contribution that Muhammadiyah, so far, the evidence. I mean, and coming to Pak Abdul about social entrepreneur, about the funding, yeah, of course, funding an issue, but in the context of Muhammadiyah, uh, it becomes complement because Muhammadiyah, if each of us we are volunteer, we are like in the context of stunting, yeah, all Muhammadiyah cadres we use the cadres use the facilities, try to coordinate with various organizations. They are working voluntarily. So without no bu, so each of us, each of the lecturer at this university, we are doing voluntarily activities outside of the academic for the Muhammadiyah as member of Muhammadiyah. So even every month our salary, we pay to Muhammadiyah to support the activities. Yeah. So it becomes even Pak Faris, as a part of charity, and also so yeah we use the CSR from our partner companies, yeah, again to support. So it's yeah, fund, it's never ending to talk about funding. So as long as Muhammadiyah has a plan, yeah, just implement the plan. So if when there is an additional support, then it means we can expand more. But without this, it doesn't mean we cannot execute the program. Yeah, we can execute. Yeah, but if there are some coordination or some collaboration, some support, it means that no, there will be much in complement to the project that Muhammadiyah try to. Yeah, if we do not have much money, for example, we can do training. It depends with the context, or we can also build the physical infrastructure when needed. So it depends really with the context. So again, what I found out, yeah, across various situation in Central Java, also in, for example, in Banten province, the key is coordination. You have that capacities, but again, doing the project, you need to also locally sensitive. Yeah, due to the nature, the competitiveness of the society, you need to be aware of this, so that your intervention will be much more effective. So I think that's my answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, the three speakers. Maybe may I have 1 minute to give a little addition, Pa Ari, to what he said? But because I'm from the woman wings of Muhammadiyah, so the mothers have to talk. Yeah, well, this is the, yeah, Pa Ari comment also. Some students also comment, "Wah, Budian so pinky today, maybe so pink." This is the uniform of Aisyah. Aisyah is the woman wing of Muhammadiyah. Why I'm wearing this? Because this morning before I come to Universitas Muhammadiyah, I was in junior high school in Depok. We had this seminar. We are the volunteer, become volunteer as the speaker. I was the head of the committee and also the moderator, and also with several mothers as the committee. We summoned like 3 teachers and parents from 3 junior high school and 3 elementary school in our area, talking about bullying. We would like to build the network to protect the our kids, and also the teacher, because now in Indonesia, I don't know, yeah, it becomes quite, it's a big pity that some of the teacher, when they educate students, they got, what is it, reported to the police. Uh, yeah, I think we are still confused in understanding the meaning of human right, educating children. So we really need to work more actively for this, so that we need, yeah. So volunteer is really our foundation also for many activities, and we are happy also to do that, like from Muhammadiyah, the charity, from the members, the volunteer. So that's how we can grow a little about that. Thank you, Dr. Abdul Tego. Okay, so once again, thank you for all three speakers, and another big applause. And now we shall continue to the appreciation session. Maybe Pak Ari, I will give the floor to you. Yeah.
So,
This or what?
yeah, I think I see. Please, all the speakers stand up. Gimana? Pak Melvin? Yeah. So Pak Melvin give to me. I'll think. You, Pak Ibu. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
You give us.
Certificate of appreciation is extended to the three speakers for their presentation this afternoon.
Yeah.
First, we have Mr. Yuji Zerasaki.
Thank you.
Then Dr. Dindo Cafe. And last, the architect of this conference, Dr. Ari Baksa.
So thank you so much for moderator and speakers for an insightful last panel. So to provide a synthesis of our discussion today, we would like to invite Professor Faris Al-Fadat from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta to deliver the conference summary. Professor Faris, the time is yours.
Ya, nanti saya nutupnya. Nanti ya. Iya. Siap, kemudian. Makasih ya, Bu. Kemudian,
Oh yeah, sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Konnichiwa. Uh, Allow me in this final session to maybe put some insight like around 10 minutes. First of all, I would like to thanks all the speakers who have given a wonderful presentation so we can learn much in this one-day conference. Give round of applause to all the speakers. And to Dr. Ari Paksi, who has put together great speakers, diverse topics. So that's why in this final session, uh, I don't want to summarize or put a conclusion because I'm afraid I cannot do a justice with the rich and so bold presentation from all the speakers. But allow me just to put some insight and learn something as part of the audiences. So what can we learn from today's conference? Uh, Let me start with this statement that BIMP Eaga is one of the important aspect within ASEAN, which was initiated in 1994. I think this is one of the very important because it tried to reach out to some areas within 4 countries, which in some aspects we might believe is less developed areas. For example, in Indonesia, which take eastern part of Indonesia from Kalimantan, South Sulawesi, North Sulawesi to Papua, as well as in the Philippines, for example. If we look at the map, the Mindanao, very close to Indonesia, to the western is Malaysia, to the south part is Papua and Indonesia's Maluku's islands. So in that areas, although it's contributed to more or less 18% of GDP in each countries, but still there are challenges that we are facing even for today. That's why it's very important to see and discuss about it in a future collaboration. And for Japan's role, we celebrate our 50 years in this year, the relationship between Japan and ASEAN. I think this is something we should celebrate for the long-standing cooperation, collaboration between Japan and Southeast Asia. And importantly, to underline is that Southeast Asia is uh, part of a strategic collaboration of Japan. I know that because my master's thesis, I wrote about Japan's foreign economic policy towards ASEAN. So I think ASEAN have given so much for the last 50 years in terms of ODA and many projects. And whoever grew up in 1980s, 1990s, for example, me myself, I grew up in the late 80s and early 90s from a small village. We knew later on for a couple of years ahead that our water dam at that time were supported by Japanese ODA. And years later, we were able to get electricity and buy radio and television so we can watch ocean drama at that time. Maybe the current generation not know much about ocean. Yes, that's why for future cooperation, Japan's role in BIM Eaga, I think it's very important. And interesting fact is that when Yuji-san explained about Indonesia still receive a grassroots grant, which is true. Interestingly, is that Japan's GDP now more or less 4.2 trillion US dollars, while Indonesia GDP is 1.4, now catching up Japan's GDP. While Brunei is not on the list anymore, but interestingly, its GDP is just 15 billion USD. This is a joke because in reality, Indonesia's GDP per capita less than that. We still have like almost 5,000 still our GDP per capita, while for Brunei, almost the same as Japan's GDP per capita. Japan now 32,000 USD more or less, while Brunei 33 more or less thousands. So that's a interesting fact. And what we can learn is that I think, in my opinion, three aspects. First is about governance and geopolitical context. Second, human capital and labor and social reproduction. And third, grassroots actors and legitimacy. I'm so happy that I can learn so much from today's speakers, even though Dr. Associate Professor Yosuke present from the beginning, I couldn't attend, but I tried to follow from YouTube because we have a live YouTube. So I know from the broad perspective how Indonesia still, even though debates on this project sub-regional governance still being debated, but you present that it's, even though geopolitical context happen, but you believe that this sub-regional cooperation will go further in the next couple of years. First, governance and geopolitical context is very important because this sub-regional cooperation is within a overlapping governance in ASEAN itself and within 4 countries. So it's much challenges. That's why we need, later on I'll explain, I'll talk about where Japan can contribute in enhance this sub-regional governance. The key challenges is not just an economic cooperation, but many other governance, governance between local governments, governance between 4 countries in addressing areas within 4 countries. Second is about human capital. Some speakers were talking about how to develop human development in areas. We know for sure that, for example, in the Philippines and Indonesia, areas for Indonesia, for example, from Borneo Islands, Sulawesi, to Maluku's Islands and Papua were among the less developed in terms of education, for example. I happen to regularly travel to these areas every month. I travel to South Sulawesi, Malukus. It's very challenging in terms not only education, but a long history of colonization shaping the cultures of people living there. So when we are talking about put together the governance, the policies are very difficult. One tiny example is that when investors coming to Maluku Islands, one of the challenges is that to rent for the land. Why it's challenging? Because for investors, when they get land to build infrastructure, and when this infrastructure is going to start, so suddenly one family will come to the court. They will say, this island is ours. So how can he claim the land while the government, through the land body, national federal body, already decided that this land is for other people and it's allowed to build for infrastructure? And he said, I have a paper from the Dutch period, and our national government accept this kind of dispute. So that's it's very challenging for certain areas in Indonesia. So to build capacity, to put together the education as well as peace building, I think it's very, very important. And lastly, we are happy to learn about the grassroots actors because not many of us understand about these areas of important. Many areas in Indonesia, which part of Bimp here is part of a conflict areas from Papua, Malukus, Sulawesi, and as well as Mindanao. So I'm happy to learn that, just learn from today's conference that Japan's government having a grant for grassroots project. And I think it's very important because it might help small communities to contribute to increase the human capacity, peace building, and anything related to a grassroots project. That's why I put here sorry, some ideas. I think one aspect for the implication is that to enhance the cooperation between four countries in areas that already being agreed on need more works, not an easy project to develop, even though the project is for economic development, infrastructure. But the problem is not just about infrastructure and connectivity, but as well as about cultures and human capital development. And for us as an academic, sub-regionalism is not very well theorized. Um, my research mostly about regional economic governance, Southeast Asia and East Asia, but sub-regional has not been developed very well. I think it's very, very important for us to put something as part of our interest to talk about human capital, grassroots movement, and how to see how to make this regional sub-regionalism as part of a future discussion in theory and practical research. And we're happy that Japan's have a long-standing cooperation and collaboration in Southeast Asia. And we believe that in this sub-regionalism, Japan's government can contribute more. That's why for the third aspect, for example, deepening grassroots, we are happy that we see already there, but we might propose that in the future, maybe put it's very valuable for certain areas in Indonesia might be part of a priority. And Yuji-san also already mentioned that if there are proposals that come from certain areas of Indonesia, I think will be put as a priority. And I think for the future, this is a very important step that we can maintain together. And I think that's all my insight as a part of audience who listening very well to your presentation today. And thank you very much for all the presenters. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Finally, we are coming to the closing session, of this one-day conference. At this point, let me thank to the Japan Foundation, of course, for
Okay, one more time. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay. Look at the camera. 3, 2, 1. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, gentlemen, look at the camera. 3, 2, 1. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thank you, Pak Anton. Far away. Yeah. Pak Ramli from Sabah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yuji Song, please. So you can put your snacks and all your debatics. You can, arigato. Yeah, do your shopping. Okay. Yeah. Michio Sensei. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you Pak Haris. Thank you Budian. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot. Tadi harusnya Budian juga ngasih. Lupa aku. Forgot, Bu. So sorry, Bu. So thank you. Yeah. So for those of you who have already bring your boarding pass, you can pass it to me. Or if you forgot to bring it, maybe later during the dinner. Yeah. So we'll meet 6:30 downstairs at the your professor guest house for the dinner. Yeah, to go to the dinner. Thank you so much. Yeah, have a good rest for 2 hours. We'll see you soon. Huh? Picture? Oh, pictures with the young. Oh, oh, pictures, group pictures with all. So how are we going to manage it, Pas? Or maybe the student can sit at the front. We sit over here. Yeah? Maybe. Ini mau group picture, gimana ngaturin Mas Isan? So we have the photographer that knows already how to take a picture. So thank you for those who joined the conference through Zoom. So hundreds of students actually, but it's manageable in here. So they have to join YouTube and Zoom. So we take picture, all of them. Yeah. Young. Okay. Prof Haris, please in here. Prof Yuji, Pak Melvin. Yeah, at the front. Kita perlu tanda tangan ya. Nah, kayaknya anak-anak duduk di bawah kayaknya nih. Anak-anak duduk di bawah. Iya, kita.
The participant
Ya.
can go
Oh,
to the front. We will
oh
take
ya ya ya
picture
ya. Thank
together.
you. Thank you.
For all the participants,
Ya,
please.
have a seat, please. Pak Faris, oh, kemarin. Mewakili UMY. So student, how can we do? Ya ya ya. Lower. Nah, ya. Pak, please Pak.
Yeah.
Pak Jula, Pak Abdul, you can sit.
Join.
It's okay. Yeah. Some
For all the participants, please. Go.
Email.